Ladies and gentlemen, are we live? Yes, we are live once again. How's everybody doing today on this Thirsty Thursday, August 20th, 2026? And I hope everybody's doing well today. It's a pretty nice day here in Southern California. We're coming to you from our secret, undisclosed location on Newport Harbor in Newport Beach, California. And first thing I want to do is let you know that shortly we're going to have Laura Lacko on. And Laura's running for city council in Mission Viejo. And with the interest in debt and all that right now, she's a great person to chat with. We all know how important municipal bonds have traditionally been, and it's nice to have someone that wants to, kind of keep an eye on things. So we look forward to talking to Laura. And another thing I want to do is I want to say hello to some of our newfound friends up in Humboldt. So, guys, we appreciate it. Central Coast, the guys at we'll leave out the school name, but thanks for checking in. And anyway, we just starting to make some new friends here. And let's I kind of want to dive right into a side topic for a second because I'm hoping you kind of think about it for a little bit. And in order to have a Democratic president, we need to have a Democratic candidate. And so the question is, what's it going to take to become the Democratic candidate? Who's looking good? What's going to be done? Sprint or an endurance race, sprint or marathon. Sorry. And I think I reflect pretty much the general consensus today, and that it's life has become so much more accelerated that and it's not unlike any given race endeavor, car, boat, whatever it is. You try to get that early lead out front, just a little bit of clean air, and just maybe you can stay in front of the pack who's running in the disturbed air. And the first five are a strange bunch, at least I think. And let's see what was. South Carolina will be the first. And I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. I have somewhat of an understanding, and that it's not unlike a lot of places on the East Coast. There are liberal pockets along the coast, and as you get further inland, as a broad general proposition, it tends to vote more Republican, even though you don't have to get very far out of Charleston, maybe 10 miles, and the type of voter completely changes. Uh, everybody at this point, everybody knows and everybody sees, everybody knows that in every way possible, we are worse off than we were. And there's no way it's going to get better. I mean, it's only going to get worse, right? Unless we have some Democrats just take over the House and the Senate in the midterms, and that presupposes that we're able to deal with whatever obstacles that Trump's going to throw up. It's inevitable. He's told us. He's clearly not the brightest guy in the world. So when he tells you he's going to do something, he'll beat his head against the wall until he gets it done, or until somebody puts him in a padded room, which it's probably about time for. So anyway, it starts out with South Carolina, and then we go all the way to, and I shouldn't call it Sin City, but what do they call it? What the Grand Canyon State of Arizona. And see, those guys are like ground zero for election denial. And let me ask you something: can any reasonable argument be made in support of election denials? Of course not. But anyway, Arizona is the second state and the first five. Then we're going to go on to New Hampshire, New Mexico, Michigan, and Virginia. But we're going to leave all that one side. Sorry about that. No, I mistook something. Sorry about that, guys. So anyway, after South Carolina, Nevada, we have New Hampshire. And, another weird place. It's so rural that you don't know. And New Mexico, Michigan, and Virginia. Now, New Mexico, it's, who's going to look good out there? Probably a Westerner. I'm it's not beyond the realm of possibility we see Gavin Newsom in some of these things. And I don't know about you, but at least Newsom, gets it. He understand. He responds properly. And God knows he's a bright guy. He's talented. He's motivated. And I've kind of put in a 2 cents worth that I think it would be really cool if Gavin challenged Donald Trump to a debate. I don't care what the subject is. It can be uh, the skills necessary to tell an elephant from a boat on a cognitive recognition test. It can be anything, and I'd really like to see that because I think we know that in fairly short order, Trump would, really come across as the idiot he is. And I hate to keep railing against the guy, but anyway, let's get back to the Democrat side. So in South Carolina, you can bet, I don't know, I'd like to see Annie Andrews, God knows when that seat. And isn't that ridiculous to have like an appointment by succession to somebody's sister, give her the Senate seat that he had? I mean, are we talking about representing the people of South Carolina, or are we talking about a little political patronage? And I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest it's a little political patronage. That Lindsey Graham's chief of staff would have been, and I'm God knows I'm not a Republican, but the more Trump does to concentrate power, the worse off we are. I mean, it's like the ballroom. He's got guys working there 20 hours a day just so that the court, what's the court going to say? Tear it down. And, he's just, like I say, an incorrigible child. And we need a Democrat that's strong enough to just blister him up and down because it's going to be guilt by association. The Republicans have made everything worse, have made nothing better for you. And now they got to go home and ask for your vote. It looks a little different this time, doesn't it, guys? You were really happy to, give Trump his way in D.C. But let's go home and talk to the hometown folks, see how they're doing. Okay, New Hampshire, New Mexico, Michigan. And this is a plea I'm going to start making every show. And that is, I don't care. Like I said, to have a Democrat president, we have to have a Democrat candidate that wins the election. And and a unified party, a unified push. And to my way of thinking, I don't care if it's a Democrat communist. I don't care if it's a Democrat socialist. I don't care if it's a, 8-legged, 12-headed Democrat from, Centopedia. They get the vote. As if we can vote together and we can win this. And it's not like, we're racing to inherit something. We're racing to stop the decline and kind of stanch the damage, if that's even possible. Trump's has deleted, I think, 400 federal databases. And, of course, he has no idea that somebody might have to come in after him. He doesn't care. As long as those billions keep coming in. And, one of these guys just screaming about Hunter Biden talking business on Air Force Two. And what a travesty that was, how that was affecting policy. And, and you guys just keep, buying into the corruption. And if you're buying into the corruption, then you would have to, at some point, conclude that you might be a little corrupt yourself. So, guys, the Democrats, we Democrats have got to just vote anybody and everybody Democrat, whether you agree entirely or not. No more circular firing squads. No, this is a big unified push. And I would also hope that the next No Kings protest draws in the area of what? If we get 10 or 12 million, I think that's a pretty good indicator that the country is solidly against El Presidente. or I should call him that orange tinged subhuman creature that seems to inhabit the White House these days. But let's see if we can't make him go away pretty soon. And you know what? As if by magic, and live and in color from Mission Viejo, we have Laura Lacko, and let's bring Laura on. Hey, Laura, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, good, thanks. Yeah, I'm a little slow at this. Otherwise, I'd have the applause line. Still kind of getting used to the buttons here. Anyway, thanks a million for doing this.
Thank you for
And
inviting me. I appreciate
uh,
it.
you know, with all the, I mean, the two things I want to start with saying was, it's awfully nice to see someone with your background running. I mean, you exemplify integrity and decency and just, appreciating, humankind. And I mean, I'm thrilled to see you on the ballot. And let's see, the second thing it was, at some point, would you touch on municipal bonds in the city, please?
Touch on municipal bonds. Could you have prompted me for something a little bit harder?
Oh, I'm so. Oh no! I meant relative to the city. Like, are things being run
No,
reasonably well in that
I
department? Are
know.
things okay?
I
Yeah,
know.
no,
I hear you, and it's one of those things that a lot of people don't realize, and they see the cities that we live in South County, and they seem to be run very well, and they are run very well overall. There's just a lot of money being spent in areas that it probably would be more judicial to hold back on at times. So
right,
in my opinion, that's one of the problems Mission Viejo has, is that we have spent a lot of money on different projects that have gone nowhere, or they've had to be pulled from different resources like the municipal bonds that should be applied to other areas, road work, things
right.
like that. So I haven't done enough research into, and that's the thing, it's tricky. It's when you go through the budget, and you can, it's free, it's available online. You can look and see what the budget is and how they're spending the money. But I send the city manager Elaine emails, not all the time but frequently, saying, okay, what was this for? And she'll respond back to me, because that's my only way of figuring out why they spent that money and where it came from.
Well, from what I can see, your community involvement, puts you in a lot of different worlds or spheres of influence, so to speak.
Yeah.
And if anybody's got a grasp on what's going on in Mission Viejo, it's you. And is everybody, are you having an easy time getting volunteers to go out and help? And I mean, this isn't easy. Campaigns never are. Well,
No,
if you
they
run unopposed, I guess it's easy, but
Well, yeah, that would be a dream. But no, I do have a worthy opponent. From what I understand, I haven't met him yet. I would like to. I have a friend who's trying to set that up, but it is challenging. I have mobility issues, so I have problems and disabilities that make it pretty much impossible for me to go door to door. So I will
okay.
require volunteers to be able to help me, and I have some great resources helping me out with that. Canyon Democrats, for one. And the Orange County Young Dems, I imagine they're going to step up. But
And people can volunteer at laura4mv.com. Did I get that right?
it's Lacko. It's Lacko for
Oh,
mv.com. Yeah, it's my last
okay.
name. So Lacko. Yeah. So
Okay.
they can go there. There is a button you can push and be able to click on to volunteer. But really, you can just reach out to anybody through Canyon Dems even, and sign up. I'm going to have a little shindig here in our neighborhood, September 13th from 3 to 5 p.m. at a local community center off of La Paz. You can find that information on my website, I think, or on Instagram and Facebook, to be able to come to that. But it's free, and I'm going to have some food from Las Golondrinas, which is one of the lovely little Mexican places here in my district. I've been going to Las Golondrinas since I lived in San Juan Capistrano back in the 80s and 90s. So I'm very happy to have one that's a mile away from my house, or
You know,
maybe not.
it's never a good idea to mention free food to somebody in the press, but I
I
appreciate
feed
it.
the people. That's one of my things. I've always fed people. I've always taken care of people. My major um, community services that I give back to is Second Harvest, which is our Orange County food bank. And then I also still contribute to the Los Angeles Food Bank, and I am a member of the Hunger Council with Feeding America. So that's one of the things I'm very proud of is my philanthropy and what I'm able to do to help people in this country while we go through what we're going through right now.
It's one of those old things, but it really is true. You can tell a lot about society by how it treats its poorest members. And I mean,
Oh yeah,
people like try to make sure that the hungry are fed, that the naked are clothed, the dirty are clean.
Yep.
And I just, it's amazing. I always thought that was just kind of like central, and just a fundamental premise that it just
Right.
starts. And apparently, I'm wrong. It's still kind of a shock to me that. But one few I do see is that there are lots of really fine people stepping up, and I always thought that as Democrats we have just an abundance of talent, and like I said, just thanks a million for doing this, and didn't you come from a political background by any chance?
I'm sorry.
Do you come from a political background?
So, okay. My politics started back in junior high. So in the 1980s, I ran for class president. And I told people I was going to be the first female president of the United States. I don't want to do that anymore. That's not in my wheelhouse, but that's where it started. So, but there was a period of time when I became a little more apathetic. There was a lot going on in my life. And so I did step back into it recently. That's been my thing. My twin, Jennifer Day, is in Kansas, and she was in the House legislature, and going through that and the support for her there, even while I was living here in California, it really got me back into the process of wanting to be involved in that part of the world. So,
wow. Well, I've always thought that city council was, almost knocking on your neighbor or having a neighbor knock on your door, not unexpectedly. And, whether they call you, councilwoman or just Laura, just being able to, that you have to want to take that knock to be a really good council person. And there's just no doubt in my mind that you've got this.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. I'm a friendly person, so it's hard for me to say no to people.
Well, but I mean, if anybody took the time to, look at your website and look at your background, I mean, didn't you do some sort of older, like Big Brother activity or Big Sister, some sort of youth? Weren't you a youth volunteer of some sort, a youth advocate?
I am a youth I'm a child advocate. I've been a child advocate for decades. So my main focus in anything that I do are children, because they're the helpless ones, obviously. So they're the ones that rely on us to be here and be solid for them. And that's hard sometimes, not everybody's perfect, and parents have a tough time. And I get that. We're not infallible. So, if I see somebody struggling or something like that, I have no hesitation of going over and making sure everybody's okay. But yeah, I definitely want to help with those situations. I have meant to get involved with a program that's actually in the United States. It's CASA. So it's to help out children, typically in their middle school or teenage years, that are dealing with parents who are going through the court systems. So, but I just haven't gotten around to. There's so many places that need help, and I want to help everybody.
I mean, I wish you had like a cajillion twins. Believe me.
Right.
Right. I mean, my granddad always told me that kids didn't exactly ask to be here, so you kind of owed them a little something.
Yep.
And
no, for sure.
I'm not going to dwell on that too much, but I do think that everybody sees that there's an old thing about past behavior and future behavior. And based on your past behavior, Mission Viejo would be doing really well to have you and on council. And just out of curiosity, how big is your district?
My district, there's about 12 voters. So the city itself is 90,000 people, and I'm District 4. So I have a lot of young families. There are, I believe, in my district, there's more public schools than any other district. So out of the
Wow.
five across the city. So we do have a lot of elementary schools and a couple of the high schools in this district. But yeah, there's about 12,000 voters that we would need to reach out to. I believe 4,000 households. So
Well,
give or
if
take.
there's 4,000 kids, you ought to reach at least 4,000 people.
I'm going to do my
Uh,
best. I mean, people are going to be getting a lot of mail from me. So that would be the one thing. That's my best way to be able to reach out at this point. So
and just in case, I don't, I've got a little hearing problem, but it was LACKO4MV.com. Okay,
yep,
just that's how
for
when you
sure.
get old like I am, you got to make sure your hearing works.
Hey, I'm not the best either. I think I've shoved wax in my ears.
Oh, so tell me, is there anything you kind of like to, the world to know?
It's one thing people are thinking, okay, it's city council, and when I tell people that, it's like, yeah, I'm running for an elected office. I was inspired to do this because my twin is running for Secretary of State of Kansas, and that's a big deal. So she's got the state. I have
Yeah.
this smaller chunk of pie, but we're both part of a community that we care about. And so that's why I'm doing this, is because I started with the Pride event in Mission Viejo, and that was such a great way to be introduced into the city itself, and the community at large. And so that's what I care about. I care about making sure the people here are feel all a part of what we're doing, and make them feel welcome in their own areas. And we have a lot of people who don't feel that way. So I want to be that representative for them, sitting on that council, sitting on that days, and be able to be a voice for everybody, and be able to, hopefully solve some problems. Of course, we can't do everything, but there hopefully will be more things accomplished with fresher eyes and a fresher perspective sitting up there.
No, but I mean, you are where empathy meets action.
Yep.
And I just, I can't think of a nicer thing to say, really. I
I
mean,
appreciate that. It's a very kind thing to say. So thank
well,
you.
in these days and times, I mean, I don't want to dwell on this, just insufferably. But if there's ever a time that people do feel disconnected and unwanted or unneeded or just unloved, uh, sometimes it's just that one, you know, you know, what one encounter that makes a difference.
Oh, for
And
sure.
I'm really really happy to see you down there changing things.
Thank you so much. I
Okay.
appreciate this opportunity.
Oh, anytime. And keep the call-in number handy if you ever want to chat. Let me know. I actually remembered to open up the phone lines today. I don't always remember, but today, today I was on top of things.
Good for you.
Well, it's not much, but I try.
I have reminders up and down in my calendar, so I hear you.
Well, Laura, if we can do anything, I'm a phone call, text, or an email away. And
Thank you.
let's see, please check in periodically, and we'll do the same.
For sure. Thank you so much for the time.
Thanks for coming on. Take
All
care now.
right. All
Bye.
right. Bye-bye.
So, guys, that was Laura Lacko from Mission Viejo, California. And, Mission Viejo is, if it's got 90,000, what you say, families or people, and that's a pretty decent size. And if she's got to represent 24,000, that's a nice district. And, she's, when people work at food banks, and like I said, when they look out for the less fortunate, I just, you know, I would think that would be a common thing. If you had, just that kind of rule, you could get rid of every religion in the world if everybody was just a little kind to one another. But we've developed a culture that's, kind of like law based and rule based, and while it does employ a lot of people, it does have its drawbacks. Every time I think about the land being taken from the Native Americans because they didn't have title to it, I'm like, well, the Native Americans, they were kind of here. What more do you want? And I was chatting. I was chatting with a representative, Shannon Wingfield. She's from District 68, I think, and about running for state assembly. And she was part of that Himenian tribe. I forgot which. If it wants to know, let me know. 949-878 949-629-3820 is the call in line. And like I said, the lines are open. And if anybody's got a thought or wants to push their local council advocate. Now, the way Laura first crossed my radar was that she was the endorsee of the Orange County Young Democrats. And these guys, the Orange County Young Democrats, are a real bunch of I don't want to say movers and shakers, but they are definitely younger movers and shakers. I mean, this is a bright, progressive, um, hardworking crowd, and they get it. I'm sure and furthermore, I would vote for whoever they endorsed. If God forbid they didn't endorse somebody, I would just follow them because I believe that they have the work ethic and the insight and the analytical ability to make these sorts of judgments. Not to mention access to data that I can only imagine. Uh, so anyway, thanks Laura, and thanks to the Orange County Young Democrats. And if anybody wants to send the Young Dems donation of some sort, I think it's ocyd.org, might be .com, but you'll see it's like four little blocks, and it says OCYD, and I think it's black and white or something. Anyway, and if you have a problem, let me know. We'll hook you guys up like the kids say these days. And guys, let's get back to this bond market thing for a while. Uh, we had to buy, the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent had to step in and buy some of our bonds on the open market. And do you know why he had to buy some of our bonds on the open market? Because people were selling so many of our bonds on the open market. People are saying we don't think the U.S. is going to pay its debts. We don't think it's going to be, we don't think it's going to stay solvent. We just don't. We don't believe these guys. Their debt's just too huge, and we're up to 40 trillion. And I heard today that that Trump is responsible for a minimum of 25% of that. Uh, and if I'm not mistaken, that's something like $10 trillion out of 40 is 25%. Did you guys hear me? $10 trillion. And Biden, the deficit ran up under Biden because the economy was closed. He floated the economy for 2 years. I mean, we knew that there were going to be inflationary effects. We knew, you had a few bad things had to happen anytime you shoved that much money into into an economy. And there were minimal checks, and the government got swindled left and right, but they were more concerned with speed than accuracy. And at this point, or actually back then, I was not going to second guess them. There's something I kind of want to mention, and that is that hardly anybody is good at their first blank, whether it's pandemic, their first emergency, their first whatever it is. How about that? How about people are rarely as good on their first plane crash as they are the second, right? You learn a little something. Uh, but it's the same business pattern he always practices. He loads up the debt, robs the place blind, and then leaves the suckers holding the bag. He's done this. It's been his career. And it's not like we didn't tell you guys. And on top of that, oh, now you got me going. We'll have to get back to the bonds in just a second. But a point I try to bring up, or 2 points I try to bring up daily, are I think the president might have like a credibility problem. Not really sure, but I think he just might have a credibility problem. And I guess that would mean by extension that the Republicans also have a credibility problem. And I think that's a definite affirmative good buddy, or whatever the CB radio guys used to say, 10-4 good buddy. So anyway, back to the bond thing. So bonds are what? They're debts. you give us $10,000 and we will repay you $10,000 and 5.33%, which as of yesterday was the highest interest rate in a while. And that's not good when you it's good if you're getting the interest, but we're the debtor. We're paying the interest. Trump's policies are inflationary and it's driving the interest rates up. There's no, I mean, in his own little world, he may think everything's hunky dory, but please, Mr. President, and I don't really do this very often, but please have some sort of an oval office address where you can tell us how great everything is. Because I don't know about everybody else, but God, I hang on to your every word. I mean, you are he who could influence stock markets or drop a nuclear bomb, depending on whether you had a good McDonald's cheeseburger and Diet Coke. I mean, what could go wrong, right? And the truth of the matter is, everything in the world has gone wrong. Um, you know, I assume it was, Japan dumped a whole bunch of bonds earlier just to get our attention. And I think Japan is number one for that's holding our debt. China may be number two. I mean, if things got really bad, they'd force us into bankruptcy, which again is something Trump is intimately familiar with. That's how he made his money. And guys, this is oh, so anyway, the bond. Go back to the bond market for the bond. How about the basics of bond markets? Bond markets are instruments of debt, IOU, guaranteed by the full faith and credit of the United States. There has to be absolutely to get the lowest interest rate to pay the lowest interest rate possible. You have to be the most secure, financially secure country in the world. And the U.S. was traditionally that country. And, traditionally our borrowing costs were reasonable. But guess what? When you have an inflationary policies that the president is just stupid. And, by the way, guys, in case you didn't know, you can't fix stupid. So, yeah, his policies are inflationary, driving up interest rates, and he piles on the debt. So he piles on debt that we have to pay an ever higher interest rate on because there's no limit. That's just a market price for the debt. And like I said, you can get everyone from 30-day $10,000 bonds to 100,000 30 days. Whatever you want to do, they'll go out to 30 years. But anyway, 5.33% is what we're paying. And does anybody think it's going to get better? Does Donald Trump look like he has any idea how to make things better? Or does he just kind of look like the guy who's content to scheme his way around the rules and cheat, rob, steal, lie, whatever else? And just out of curiosity, I sure would like to chat with Natalie, or I can chat with that, might not be very sporting. But I sure would like to be, I don't know, maybe like a recording device and kind of ask her just, So Natalie, how about these feel good things you give the president? I'm sure he needs them, and I'm sure that you just have a very good working relationship with him. God, my throat's going already. So. Well, she's got a perfectly good relationship, working relationship with the president on his mind. It'd be kind of a good time to ask, well, when you give him these things, do you ever consider the source or fact check anything, or do you just kind of print it out? And I will bet you my left, what, that the answer is just, oh, I just print them out and hand it to him. And I'm like, you are voluntarily, and you're being paid for this. You are being paid by our government to give, the president, false information or information that may not be true that's contributing to his policy and worldview. If the Russians did that, would that be treason? And it's just okay if our Nat does it. We need a name for Natalie. You know, it's the French thing to do the th, Nath, and Nathalie. That just sounds kind of neither here nor there. Natalie, Big Nat, she's didn't seem to be terribly big. Probably what 5'6", 5'7", heels. Anyway, uh, yeah. So she just feeds this guy a feel good article without caring, at least my wagers, without caring, who or what. And refer to her, don't forget, as the human printer. It didn't refer to her as the human fact checker. They called her the human printer. And I don't think, if the orders from the president are that I will pay you X number of dollars if you print me out, things that make me feel good, I would bet she just keeps those cards and letters coming, folks. I mean, God only knows what she does on a slow news day. And I say, what kind of credibility do these guys have? And another thing, uh, how does an insane person, or at least an insane appearing person, in my humble opinion, that's God knows not the truth on the form of a statement of any way, but wouldn't you be really curious as to like Laura Loomer's mental state? If I don't know who to believe in the Mitch McConnell thing, but as of now, you would have the only evidence we have, and I guess the only evidence we could possibly have, is a phone call was made and people swear to it. I mean, in the absence of anything else, could he be dead? Well, yeah. I mean, it didn't take long for any of us to go when we're called, when our numbers up, whether we're in that plane crash, the just so happened to be next to the guy whose number was up. Uh, so I mean, but what does she do? How do you do this on the golf course? And I don't. I mean, there's just something really creepy about Trump in the first place, and then something even creepier about him being around, women that are substantially younger than he is, that have substantially less wealth and power than he has. And I think if there's one thing we know about Trump, he won't hesitate to use his power. He might hesitate to spend a dollar of his own, but if it's and that's why he's bankrupting the country. I mean, forget about the what 250,000 new Escalades he ordered, or the fleet of icebreakers from Finland, or that the aircraft carriers go back to seeing catapults. I mean, the guy's just a lunatic. And because he's the smartest one in the room, he doesn't need any information from anybody. And if you don't, and I'm sure that's like, the presidential daily briefing, here it is. And, apparently he'd rather look at like cartoons or something. Uh, uh, the guy has absolutely no interest in this other than making as much money as he can, as is evidenced by his behavior. I mean, is there anyone out there? And like I said, the number is 949-629-3820. We'd love to hear from you. Is there anybody out there that thinks this is like okay by any stretch of the imagination? And I really would like to talk to some of those people that were after Hunter Biden for maybe talking business on Air Force Two, while Trump takes home $2 billion. Yeah, I kind of, oh, you guys, you were really righteous back then. Where's the feeling, brother? Yeah, I mean, don't we have like something really bad here? Don't we have like a president making $2 billion in the office, and you guys saying, okay? Huh? I, I mean, that's powerlessness. That's impotence. I guess that'd be the best word, impotence. I mean, that's sure. That's not exactly being a man about things. And talking about being a man about things, let's talk about Cornyn and what's his name, Cassidy. Oh, you guys were so, you gave Todd Blanche your vote, after you get thoroughly humiliated. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. You could have been known as the guy that voted to try to stop or the guy that enabled the lunacy to continue. And, I was really surprised that you guys voted to let the lunacy continue. I thought there might be two semi adults among the Republicans, and apparently I was wrong. Apparently, at some point, the last Republican with a spine, turned out it was like Elvis. He just disappeared. The last adult has left the building. The last responsible Republican adult has clearly left the building. And I say, unless, of course, you assume that adult is the unheard and unseen Mitch McConnell, who does not is I mean, I'll sympathize with anybody who's suffering all this stuff, but McConnell is just as far as politics and humanity goes, he's pretty much a worthless pos. uh he just is. When he stole the Merrick Garland Supreme Court seat, that was just and don't forget his whole deal starting with Barack Obama was we need to make sure not one thing he wants gets passed. Well, why? Are you afraid he's going to help the country? I mean, they were just you would have to suspect some initial prejudice against President Obama, and the nature of some of the cartoons and stuff coming from the White House clearly tell us that it hadn't gone anywhere and it's gotten worse. And like I said, what has possibly gotten better? Oh, you know what? I will tell you one thing that got better. Ah, there was a guy. So it sounds like a song, doesn't it? There was a guy. Where's Christy Noam, the puppy killer from North Dakota, South Dakota, whatever? I think South Dakota. And and she was the head of Homeland Security after somehow miraculously getting confirmed. And she decides that she needs like 10 big old jets, like, commercial jets, because they're going to have so many deportees they're going to need just to keep this fleet flying around the clock. And would you believe that the bid for the 250 planes was a no bid contract? They just awarded this to a related party of Nome, and it was suggested that it was at a very inflated price, like beyond top dollar. Like maybe this was a disguised gift somewhere. And I'm sure you all know how many hours those things have flown. I think the term is like bupkis or skidukas. And I'll say bupkis is 0, and skidukas is like 10 bupkises. So either way, they ain't flying. And someone made out on the no bid contract. And guess what? Things have gotten worse. And I say, please God, tell me what has gone down for you lately. You see, gas is always expensive here, but it's starting to inch back up to the well over $6 range. And let's see, I hadn't checked the stock market bit, but we're screwed there too. The market, when the market crashes, which it will inevitably, because it was just in a what Alan Greenspan would call irrational exuberance. And you got to remember, markets reflect time, place, people, desires, want, the whole thing, fear, greed. And when people start selling investments in your economy, that ain't good. I mean, we need these corporations to employ people to some degree. And we want to employ people reasonably. We don't want to pollute the environment. Like, guess what? These data centers that they're shoving down. And as many legislatures as possible need to pass a no data center law for their state, and that just drives them to the poorest place that needs the money the most. But again, it's like the Todd Blanche thing. You're being paid to vote against this guy. I mean, you're not being paid to vote for the guy. You're being paid, and you didn't do it. You didn't do it. Uh, anyway, there are expressions for stuff like that, but I don't want to get into it. But anyway, how many? So the question really is, how many bonds can Besant buy? And whatever the answer is, the answer is not enough. Oh, and of course, we just took a quick check, and the Dow's down like 670. Um, and like I say, it ran up so much. I mean, there were like so many, several 100-point days that just, it was irrational. But as I have told you, the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. So don't ignore the market. I mean, whatever it's doing, don't fight it. Uh, it's just one of those. It's just how it works. Um, so anyway, and what else? Oh, and how about I didn't get a chance to chat with Laura about this, but next week sometime, I expect to have a fellow named Brandon Schooner on, and Brandon is running for city council in Buena Park, and Brandon is a certified climate something or other, and I look forward to having a little side discussion with him about his views and what we can do, individually and collectively to just try to make things a little better. I say it's obviously things ain't getting much better if you leave them to Trump in Washington, and now the guy puts in like new fires the inspectors general that had been there for 20, 30 years and replaces them with flunkies. And this is the IG. And for those of you who don't know, those are the guys that get charged with like making sure agencies run properly. They oversee things. And Trump wants he wants a crooked game. He wants a crooked umpire making the crooked calls for his crooked team. And that's all this is he's putting in crooked umpires to call it the game his way. Or a crooked ref in basketball. That's all he's doing. He's putting the crooked refs in thing and you guys let this happen. I gotta tell you, the more I think about this, it's just so infuriating. And but anyway, what else is going on? I'm sorry, the bond market is just really capturing me for a second. It's I mean, I would never believe it would be this bad. And don't forget and we'll just have to see how the bond market shakes out. It's not really good. And what I don't know is how do these guys come home from Washington and sell this stuff? I can't. I mean, I just don't know what sort of argument they would have to make. Well, I'll take. Oh, well, I'll take that back. Let's give Trump the Iran nuclear weapon thing. They were a week away from a nuclear bomb. A week away. Really? Huh. Now, how did we get to that point? Oh, I just thought so. So did our intelligence say that? Well, I don't think intelligence quite said that. Not ours. Did Israel's intelligence say that? Yeah, well, they might have, but I don't think we ought to believe them. Okay, all right. So that brings what Netanyahu to Washington, and oh man, and he sits down with his buddy Don the Con, and next thing you know, Netanyahu's got the whatever presentation, and Trump is like, of course, like a child watching a cartoon, right? So at the end, Netanyahu says, and it'll be easy, 72 hours maximum. And Trump's thinking, 72 hours, another Maduro situation. Yeah, I'll risk that. And The generals are going, but sir, what if it goes longer than 3 days? Well, it won't go longer than 3 days. But sir, what if it does? Well, I don't think it will. And and guess what? Yeah, I mean, it's just if you had to be a poster child for poor decision making, I kind of think Trump's got the lock on that one. I mean, I love this when and I tell people that do you know what happens when you don't hire like competent, independent people? And they go, well, that would mean you get incompetent, stupid people. And I'm like, and responsive to their guy, and that's how the rod just uh, penetrates layers. It just does it, you know. And in this case, it's gonna be done within 2 years. And you would have to think that Elon Musk wasn't really, just a budget, government efficiency thing. And even though, did we deserve to be treated like that? Did any American deserve to see somebody with a chainsaw showing up and just hacking at the federal budget? I mean, might be nice on TV or an ad or something, but that's not. You don't do that with like the president of the United States unless the president's a farce. And like I say, I have I ask this question daily. What wasn't January 6th enough? How do you get beyond that? Now you see people go, well, oh, it was staged, it wasn't real. I'm like, I think you're wrong about that, pal. I think if you take a look at the evidence, this is what you'll see. I see. I'm not. I can tell you what the movie was about. And well, yeah, it was a movie. Yeah, but it was like live. It wasn't. This wasn't scripted. Take a look. I mean, wasn't one of the guys pooping on Nancy Pelosi's desk in real time? Do they really think that was scripted? Please, God help me. So yeah, I don't think that was scripted. Uh, you got to go fight or else you won't have a country. I don't think that was scripted. See, I think the whole deal was just as the January 6th committee proved it was. And you know how they proved it? They proved it by this thing that apparently the Trump administration has a real problem with, but it's just stuff called evidence. And evidence is something that shows whether or something had happened or not. And like if there were footprints in the snow, you would naturally assume somebody made them, right? They just didn't appear there. Uh, so anyway, but when you don't hire competent people, you get stupid loyal people, and is that not a recipe for rot? And and I'm wondering if his debt, his share of the deficit, $10 trillion at a minimum, by the way. Is that going to be the difference? And don't know who was the last president to balance the budget? Bill Clinton. Thank you. You see, truth of the matter is, Democrats have always been better on everything. It's just the message. We had a hard time getting the message across. And I know sometimes every Democrat seems like a college educated, wine drinking, cheese eating snob, but it's not true. I'll be the first one to tell you a lot of the leadership did kind of come from really good schools and all that, and but that's how it always is. That's why Georgetown turns out so many people for the diplomatic corps, or that's why GW has a great law school, or I mean just anything that a school can vouch for, they'll offer to help leadership, in exchange for some political consideration to be discussed at a future date. And oh, by the way, exactly, I'm kind of curious about the Qatari jet, and exactly how does that fit into things? Oh my God! And and anybody know about John Ossoff from Georgia? My brother lives down there, and he tells me that that Ossoff has some sort of investigative reporter background, and you're just a real determined bulldog kind of guy who doesn't lie, who he finds he just follows the evidence, and whatever it shows, but it's not, he doesn't inject his personal feelings to determine the outcome. And ordinarily I would suggest that might be cheating. And are there any Republicans left that don't mind cheating? I give me a call, 949-629-3820. It's my position that a Republican, was it a Republican who won't cheat is like a day without sunshine or something. I mean, it's uh, yeah, isn't that amazing? Look what the one guy's done. Yeah, if it's rigged, it's because or if I lose, it's because it's rigged. Whatever it is, instead of taking that as the obvious sign of mental illness, uh, they embraced it somehow. I have, yeah. All I can say is let's. Well, the thing I will say, and I'm going to close on this, is the as Democrats is only, there are a few steps we got to get through the nominating process. Then we have to campaign. Then we have to win convincingly, and then we have to deal with whatever contingencies Trump throws or obstacles Trump throws up. So there are a lot of steps to be taken, to get to the point where you actually vote. And this is the time to put whatever differences behind us. And I mean, if they have a Democrat after their name, I don't care if it's Democrat Socialist. I don't care if it's Democrat Communist. I don't care if it's Democrat, Freedom Caucus. I don't care if it's got Democrat in front of and behind it. You vote for it. No race is too small here. I chat with people from water boards and city councils because ultimately those are the people that knock on their representative's door to let them know what's going on. And I think it's great training to be a representative, whether in the state assembly in California or in D.C. And I hope Laura, that's Laura Lacko, and that's Lacko at Lacko 4 FORMV, like missionviejo.com. And if anybody can contribute a few dollars, it'd be really nice. And if there's a doubt as to whether she's worthy or not, please take a look at her website and look at her past behavior. And I think that if her future behavior is anywhere near her past behavior, she'll make a difference in Mission Viejo. And like I say, keep talking about the bond status, and all that affects how much the city has to pay, how much interest they have to pay. Of course, if you're the buyer of the bond, you want a really high interest rate. If you're the seller, you want a low interest rate. So anyway, guys, I'm going to bag it with the bond stuff for today. That's I'm sure you can only handle, but so much excitement. Like I say, it's closing in on 1 inch, and of course, my third's starting to go. I'm not quite as young, my just one of those things. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks to the North Coast, Central Coast, Inland Empire, and Central Valley for tuning in. And if we can do anything, please, God, let us know. If not, in the meantime, you know what we always say, Roger.